Hello, used car buyers. It's Thursday again. It's live. Guys, we would like to work out and find out how and where we could find the best used cars. This is what we're going to talk about today. Remember that we at Confident Car Buyer, our aim is to help you to buy your next used car with Confident, to manage your future finance and improving your knowledge about used cars. That's our really aim. Some of you might not know me yet. My name is Gabor Kovács, the founder of the Confident Car Buyer. I'm a former garage manager, car mechanic, and I'm on the field of used cars in the last 20 years. So I think I know one thing or two about used cars. Guys, if you like the topic today and you think it is really useful, please give me a thumbs up, a wow face, a like, whatever you think. If some of you didn't see my previous lives, please check it out if possible, because every live video is basically one step of the used car buying process. So they are all connected to each other. I think it's really, really important. And I would highly suggest to do that. So welcoming new group members, and thank you very much for like our page. We hit the 350 likes today, which is absolutely amazing. But let's go to the point. Let's get to the point. This is really important. It might seem really simple how and where. You think I'm not going to be able to teach you something. I might not, but I think there are very a few things important which can help you to find the best used cars, and they can be really useful. Hi Daniel, thanks for showing up. So guys, let's get to it. Today basically we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about the website. There is a reason to it. I'm going to get there. We're going to talk about photos, and we're going to talk about the listing. These are the three components of how and where to find the best used cars. So let's talk about the website first. I think this is there is a reason to it. Look, if we're talking about sellers, we can talk about private sellers and dealers. So there are two types of sellers basically. And nowadays, because the internet give us so much help, I believe not many of the used car buyers are driving around and trying to find a good car or good quality car. So basically we go open up the laptop and check the internet whether we can find any good, nice car around of our area. So basically we can talk about the internet, and that's the first thing we have to talk about, the website. So before I would do that, let me point out a few important things why we have to talk about this. Basically the statistics. It can be a bit boring, but I think it's gonna make its point. Basically, look, about 78% of the used car buyers are buying the used cars from dealership. 78%. But more interestingly and shockingly, 3 of the complaints coming from the buyers who bought the car from dealership. So this is really important, which means, you know, on the market the dealers are on the top sales category. So many dealers on the market. So I think this is really important. So where and how we're going to find the car? Where, of course, on the website, on the internet. That's where you're going to find it. There are plenty of cars on the used car market. So let me mention a few websites what I would suggest you to use. You can find many, but still you have to be really careful with that. Let's say Auto Trader. Everyone knows that there are about 500,000 used cars on sales on Auto Trader. There are eBay, which is 200,000. I would point out eBay because I've realized in the last couple of years eBay is getting better, because probably, I'm guessing, because because of the rating possibilities. So it is really, really, really good platform to find a really good used car on eBay. Many dealerships advertise on eBay. We could talk about V cars, 150, Piston had 100,000 cars, Parkers 210,000 cars on the market. Hi Zoltan, thanks for joining us. So there are plenty of cars on the used car market, but still we have to be really careful with that, and how to avoid not to ripped off by the seller or dealership. About the website, if you find a nice car on the website, there are certain elements of the website I like to check. I want to make sure it's there, that option is there. So on the website, I think it's important if you can find an option to see the ratings of the seller, because that's really a key point. Of course, everyone as a customer like to be treated as a customer. And believe me, I've bought many cars and I've met with sellers and they were dealers. They had hundreds of cars, and their behavior and their sales was absolutely terrible. So first of all, if you check the website, make sure there is a possibility or option to see the ratings of the seller. If you check on the website, and you can find a dealer, make sure there is a link which is leading to the dealership website. And on their website, they have at least an option to see what's their rating. These are the two elements. I think it's really, really important. But if you cannot find any option to see their ratings, there is a website called cardealerreviews.co.uk. They have over 16,000 dealerships registered, and many reviews are there, so they can review it, so the customers can tell you whether those dealerships are trustworthy, they're not going to rip you off, they selling you the car as it's supposed to be, and they really respect your money, because that's all about the customer service, respecting you were working hard for your money, so they're going to give you something nice and really useful. So that's all about the where. I think I cannot teach you more about this, but I believe these are the key elements I would check out, and I always make sure I can see those options on the website. So we got to the point where, let's say you have your website. Let's talk about eBay. It's a bit strange, but let's talk about the eBay. You found your car on eBay. What you're gonna see, most of the people buying used cars buy its look. So it's a nice and clean. Hi Imra, thanks for joining us. It's nice and clean, and they just, oh, I fell in love with it. So basically their emotion kicks in, and then they just forget about the whole buying process, how to buy a used car. So they don't really follow up the step by step. So the photos, that's one of our really basic motion when we see something, so it kicks in. So let's talk about the photos. They're really important. When I see the website and I check the car, how it looks like, I would like to see as many photos as possible about the car. So it can tell you everything about the car, because we're gonna go by the look. You know exactly you want to buy an Audi or Volkswagen or Volvo. You know what's the shape, the body style of the car, but you want to see how it looks like. But still, they are photo. So if you can check the photos and you can find many photos about the cars, that's already proving something. The seller really is not a kind of dishonest seller, because they want to show you every little details about the cars. They have nothing to hide. So that's a good indication if there are as many photos as possible uploaded to the website. So let's talk about that. Okay, you found a car and you can see the seller. So let's talk about the environment first. I always like to see where the photo was taken. What I mean is not in the Tesco car park, come on, if someone wants to sell a car, why in the Tesco car park? What's probably there is something behind the sales, any reason, maybe a car failure or a problem with it, or who knows, maybe he's a fake car dealer, who knows. So the environment is really important. If the photo was taken in the driveway around a nice area, a nice house, maybe in the garage, or if we're talking about dealers, then of course it's a nice showroom, for example. And it's a good thing, what I do sometimes, if I found the car, I check the dealer's website, and of course I check the address. So I use Google Map as a street view, and I check all around the area. I just, you know, just take a bit of route around the area. So I check how the whole environment looks like. It proves something, because if someone really care about the environment and they are nice and clean, that somehow indicate a really important thing about the sellers. So we were talking about the environment. We've seen how the environment looks like. You can see that's a nice house. Maybe it's a private seller or dealer, a nice clean dealership, showroom. Absolutely great. It's really important. But let's talk about the car itself. So about the car, of course, as logically, we want to see how it looks like outside, like exterior paints. So I would like to see every angle of the car. So I would like to see the rear lamp, the headlights, the side of the car, the front of the car, the back of the car. So basically, and the quality of the picture is really important, because you can zoom into it, so you can see the gaps and stuff like that, which is really important. And then we can talk about interior. Again, I would like to see the boots. I would like to see the seats, the steering wheel, the gear knob, maybe the pedal. They're really important. They can indicate the mileage, basically. So that's another thing which is really important. You know that if the car covered 200,000 miles, which is hell of a lot, then probably the steering wheel should be really shiny all around. Or maybe the gear knob has to be really shiny, or the door handle. So they can really give you an indication. And if we're talking about photos, we were talking about the exterior, the interior, and we were talking about the car itself. I'd like to see photos about the documents. What I mean is, we can talk about MOT certificate. We can talk about service history, service booklet. We can talk about invoices, repair invoices. So if someone willing to upload photos about these documents, that's again really indicating that the seller is an honest seller. They have nothing to hide. They really want to show up something. This is what I'm going to offer you for a good price. So that's all about the photos. There are a few more things what I could check, but if you join to our group, you're gonna be able to download the PDF, the cheat sheets, what else this list is including, so I can help you with that. Let's talk about the listing. We got here, which is another important part of a used car buying process, the listing. It's like the listing, a really good listing is like a bedtime story for me. It is a very nice and simple, but it's very detailed. I think it's really good because there are certain elements I want to check and the good listing should include. And what are they? If someone wants to sell a car and they listing the following, like full or partial service history, that's already a good indication it can be a really good car because it's been well maintained, well serviced. The previous owners were really looking after the car. Very important. HPI check. Remember HPI check. I mentioned a couple of times this, but we're going to have a different video about HPI check. really, really a good option in this country. HPI check can prove everything about the car. So it's really important. If they mention we have a HPI check, they have nothing to hide. So you can check if you want to, you can do a HPI check yourself and compare it to the original one. But it's including. If it says number of owners, if it's quoting how many owners has the car in the listing, those are the key elements what I'd like to see. If I can see all these, then I think we are at the really good point to check out the car. So we haven't even checked it yet, but at least now we can see the photos. We have 25 photos on the listing, exterior, interior, the documents, maybe extra keys. And then we see the listing, and all these key elements are in the listing, which is really, really good indication. But there are other things what might be mentioned in the listing, but I think another really, really good and important. Let's say they say 2 keys provided. It's really fantastic. Not many cars has 2 keys, but it's really good. Or they saying we have extra repair invoices. We can provide you MOTs, the good tires, they saying that. So basically they give you more and more details about the cars. The listing is not about the feature of the car and that's it, and that's up for sale. No, that's not good. I'm not saying the car cannot be a really good quality car, but probably the seller don't really feel they want to sell it, or I don't really understand when someone make a listing like that. So, and I'd like to see 2 more things. When someone's saying that sorry to let it go because it was a good horse for our family, which means those owners, those previous owners, they are really, really a nice person. They understand how difficult to and how hard to make that money to buy something and looking after it, or it was a good car, or it's up for sale for because of an upgrade. So these are really, really a good indicator of a good listing. I think it's really, really important. And if someone is not willing to, in a listing, they mention something like, oh, it's a well looked after car, nice drive, etc., etc. But there is no proof of that. There is no photos about that. Then make sure you check the price, because usually the price in this case is lower. So there is a hook in it, I would say, in the listing, where you just, okay, this one is cheaper than the others. So you're gonna go for it. Oh yes, the listing, it says it's a well-driven car, it's reliable, never broke down, clean and nice. Then why the price is lower than the average on the market? See, there is an indication there. So don't fall for it. If the price is lower than the average, I'm not 100% sure I would check it out. If it's close by and you have time, then fine. But make sure you check the car properly. But we're going to get to that. And if I may mention that, don't forget, I just mentioned at least 1.5 million cars on the used car market, and we were talking about only just a few websites. So there are millions of used cars on the market. So don't rush into it. That's one of my main vision. Don't rush into it. You buy a car for 3 to 5 years, which is important. So don't rush into it. You can wait another week. You can sit another few hours in front of the laptop or a computer and find a much, much better one. So it's worth to take the time to do your research, to make sure you do everything properly, because you're going to have the second biggest expense of your household on your driveway, and you're going to need, and you want to keep your lifestyle. So basically you want to make sure you have a nice, beautiful car, and you know you're not going to get disappointed by it. So guys, I think I could cover everything about where and how to find the used cars. And we're gonna have another live video coming up next Thursday, which is going to be about the necessary tools and gadgets, how they can help you to save money and avoid disappointment, and learning about the car structure itself. If you guys think this was really useful, I could help you with some ideas, then please give me a thumbs up, a wow face, whatever you feel. And if you have a question, don't hesitate to use the comment. And if you think we should change the live timing, I'm absolutely up for it. It's not a problem. I can manage it. So guys, that was it for today. I hope I'm going to see you in the next live. And drive safe, take care of yourself, and have a good weekend. Thank you very much for showing up, guys. Bye.